Hey guys.
Welcome.
Good to be here.
Okay, so we're so happy to have you here. We're gonna wait a little bit for Sophia. You can take this microphone over here. All right. Oh. Ok, demos otro aplauso
This one?
a Sofia Boutella, por favor. Un fuerte aplauso. Hi, Sophia. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Hi.
Thank you.
Hola.
We're so happy to have you here in this really special press conference, and we want to thank all of the members of the press for being here to talk about this story that has taken decades in the making. So first of all, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Love coming to Mexico. It's good.
So to start a little bit of a warm-up, I'm going to start making a little bit of questions to get to know the film better. And Zack, you have portrayed like vast and really diverse universe in the cinema for almost 20 years. And you almost wrote like 500 pages of mythology for this movie. So we want to know, and I wanted to ask you, where does the imagery comes from, and what really drove you to tell this story?
Yeah, I mean, for this one, it's been kind of boiling for a long time. You know, famously, I think I've talked about it maybe being a Star Wars movie, talked about, you know, it as a pitch at school when I was in college. So it's been around. I think what happened with it recently is we finished Army of the Dead. I was talking to my partners at Netflix, and we were talking about, like, what do you want to do now? And I said, oh, I don't know. Maybe we do a sequel to Army, or maybe I have this other crazy idea. And I pitched them, it's a pretty straightforward concept, it's very clean, and they were like, that sounds great, let's do it. So it was at that moment that I realized that there was going to be a ton of work to do. Because the problem is, I think, not a problem, but the challenge when you make a story like this like a giant myth-building, world creation thing, is that, especially if there could possibly be, more than two movies, that there's like a whole universe, you have to start to paint the mythology in all the corners. You have to make it all, you don't want to catch yourself out, like where you don't have an answer to a problem. And I think that was, for me, the real work of this world. Like, we created a lot of the mythology, and by mythology I mean like real myth of the world, that the mother world's backstory had to be all figured out in order for you to understand what they wanted to accomplish as far as their conquest of the universe, how characters like Sophia's character might get swept up in that conquest and then maybe turned into a vessel for their conquest. And so, these child soldiers or whatever they're doing, and so I had to make sense of why would they be doing that. I can't just simply say they want power or they want, resources. I mean, you can say that, of course, but there has to be a why. So in the sort of figuring out the why of the mechanics of the universe, you do a lot of myth building, world building. We did a lot of, like, whether it be symbolisms, the symbols of the mother world's historical, and there's like two periods that we had to, like, the sort of the pre-Belisarius period and then Belisarius's sort of reign, which has only been a short reign, but how the iconology changes when Belisarius comes in. Belisarius is ranting, but anyway, the point is that yes, we did a lot of work, and but a lot of that work and a lot of the sort of time we've spent with it has really paid great dividends, because the world, we haven't really come up against the thing that where we contradicted ourselves. Not yet, anyway. I'm sure it's going to happen, but we'll have to
You
cross
gave us
the bridge.
quite like complex stories to defend. It wasn't just a go-to simple, like, I feel like a lot of the time I see stories, it's like copy and paste from like one storyline to another. And I feel like this was pretty unique, even though it's a sci-fi, it's fantastical, it's beautiful, and it's like, we have like, it's about gathering soldiers to go and defend something, and then there is an entity that is negative, that is daunting us. But individually, every single person has a very complex human story that I think is quite relatable.
And I think it's really clear that you really dominate from A to C everything about the universe. And Sophia, now that you mentioned that, I think that you are such a versatile actress. You have worked in many different genera and with so many talented directors and actors. So what was it about Zack Snyder's vision that really made you say like, wow, I really want to be a part of this movie?
Well, I was a big fan of Zack already. I remember watching 300 and being blown away by what I was looking at. And I remember watching Watchmen, and towards the end of the film thinking I did not want it to end. Or I remember thinking I wish I've never seen it so I could watch it again for the first time. And and when we had our first Zoom, just his enthusiasm, I did not know him as a person, and he told me the story from start to finish, exactly how I ended up reading it, and his just sense of precision and his care for the craft and his enthusiasm, he made me better as an actor, because he's just so good, so prepared, he cares so much, he loves what he does. It doesn't give you much choice but to come and excel and just do your absolute best.
Wow, and Sophia, we also know that you have portrayed and played other characters that know how to kick ass. You know, we've seen you, and we know that you made most of your stunts in this film. Can you share a little bit how does the chorus physicality differentiate from other characters that you played, and how was it to make your own stunts?
Well, this character is, she's a warrior to begin with. She was trained at such a high level. I haven't played a character who was such a warrior in the past, and I think I was trying to curate a little bit meticulously sort of my choices when it comes to action, because I didn't want to just do them as they come. I wanted them to be special and require my physicality for something that was going to be really good. And I was, in a way, I think I was excited, and I was looking forward to what was the next project going to be. And I mean, it could have not been better than to do it with Zack, because he gave me the best platform to exercise that, because he not only can capture and shoot action scene, but he's the best. He's simply the best. And I wanted to like go there and give my best and give my whole, because I know I can go there, and the fact that we can meet each other and deliver. I remember just observing, and he's so specific and looking at the shot, and I will go 1,000% and he will go 1,000%. And I think that I feel like it just made so much sense. Sometimes it's hard when you give your body, like even for stunt guys, for example, I could have not done, I did, yeah, a lot of my stunts, most of them, and Mel, who doubled me, had a big part in doing that, because you know they have to set up the shot, and they have to rehearse with camera a lot before calling the first action, and that's something that saves you from, you know, getting hurt while you're practicing with camera, and they observe you constantly, they give you notes, they watch behind the monitor. So even though I did all my stunts, like I could have not done it without my double, and she was extraordinary. The whole stunt team was amazing. They're the first one to arrive, the last one to leave. They work so hard, they get injured, they never complain, they always show up. They're extraordinary, they're incredible. So yeah, it just helps and facilitates everything for us, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's really a joy for me to have an actor like Sophia who, because, you know, what happens inevitably when you're shooting a scene and say in the scene you need to use a stunt double for whatever reason. You know, I don't know if you watch a lot of movies, which you people obviously do. But like, you know, the double, they'll get like punched and they'll fall on the ground. And then they'll have to fall and they'll have to kind of cover their face or their arm or something like this, you know. do some kind of weird thing, and you're always like, oh, okay, I guess. But that's real, because they can't, you don't want to see that they're not the actor. And so there's always like a compromise, there's like a compromise, maybe in the shot making, like, I'll be like, oh, if we have the doubles fall away from us, it'd be cooler, but of course it's not better for the drama, because you want to see the actor, like, what's going through what's happening. And having someone like Sophia, who literally, there was nothing we could think of that she couldn't do, was really a gift, because then, you don't have to compensate with the photography at all. You can just film it, you can.
I remember being on set, and I think Freddie was telling me, you can go rest, and then
Freddie's the stunt.
And they wanted to do something that I wasn't required. They could have done, and I was shouting for my sister, like, no, I'm going, and I'm running to set to do it, because I get very picky with like the clothes and continuity, and I'm like, no, it should be this way, or because and also the emotion that the character is going through. For me, it was important, like Zack was saying, that even that last fight scene with Noble, like to show the exhaustion, and I think it's important to show struggle, because we're not superheroes, we're very much mortal, I mean, you'll discover the movie, but we're mortal and we don't have superpower, and I wanted to show that, the exhaustion, the pain, the struggle that it is, even though you're strong.
Okay, now that you mentioned that you have learned how to move the camera and get the actors like perfectly in the shot, you also have directed so many films that have great like universes and complex, like mythology. Was there something you learned during the process of filming those movies that maybe you applied to the process of this one, something that you have learned?
Yeah, I guess, sure, I'm no stranger to exotic, realms to photograph. But I guess the truth is that, the one cool thing about this is that, sure, I was prepared by the sort of world building we've done in the past for whatever it is, 300, Watchmen, Guardians of the Galaxy, for God's sake. All of the things we've done have always been, I would say that I don't think I've made a movie that doesn't have an art of book that goes with it, except for Dawn of the Dead. I don't think there was a Dawn of the Dead art book, although there should have been. But yeah, so the process of creating these worlds has always been a thing that we've really been super into, and very much, it was always like one of the reasons to make the movie for me. And so yeah, doing this was really that on steroids in every case, in every aspect. There was nothing that just happened. So it was really, I think everything we had done before this sort of prepared us for what we were doing on this movie.
You can see it just by the richness of the film, the multitude of elements that are in there, and how, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very particular tone. I didn't want it to be. It's not like hard sci-fi. It's like fantasy sci-fi. So I really wanted to kind of capture this sort of, I talk about it quite a bit, but this sort of, it's like a Franzetta meets, some sort of Mobius / I don't know what, but like there's a sort of illustrative quality that I was really trying to capture, sort of fantasy art, illustrative, slightly retro quality. That was like a sort of tone that I was looking for that wasn't easy to communicate, and we still sort of are searching for it, but as we go, it will evolve.
And now that you mentioned the complexity of the universe, there are so many creatures in here, like so many different creatures from different planets. Was there a particular creature or set that you really liked to be at? Like maybe you saw this person with makeup on set and that you really love watching them?
Well, Jenna's character, Jenna Malone, plays the big spider Hamada, and she's just fun. She's just a great actor and just super game, and it was really difficult, wearing the makeup and being in this weird cart. We had this weird cart that rolled her around. She had to fight from, because the stunt guys would move her. And like some of her legs, because she's a spider, the stunt guys would be in green, and they'd have to try and and they all had to get together on that. But it was fun to watch her perform it, but it's also one of those things that as it evolves in the movie and finally we actually see the shots, it's like cool to see because it's half and half. You know, she's all prosthetic, but then her legs are CG, so it's cool to see it be completed by the other artists that we work with in post-production.
What about you, Sophia? Who was your favorite creature?
I had a lot of favorite creatures when we enter where do we find Kai?
In Dagnus. Where?
No, Kai.
Oh, in Kai. In the Veld, Providence, yeah.
In Providence. So there's this brothel that we enter, and there are a bunch of creatures, and I saw some of the most amazing. The woman with the horns, I love that, and I really like the tick. I thought it was so creative and genius.
That little bug.
Yeah,
but it's fun, you know. Also, it's fun that it's a brothel. You know, I think that's fun.
And I think that's something that was crucial for the movie is the cast. So, Zack, what were you looking, which qualities were you looking in the actors to play these amazing roles? And specifically, what were you looking in Sophia that made her perfect to portray Cora?
Well, I mean, I actually was very interested in having Sophia play the part before we went out to, you know how you do like a big casting. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Sophia, so, you know, we can bet that. If it makes everyone happy, we'll do whatever kind of casting thing you do. But I was pretty set on it. So, and I just think that she has this incredible sort of mysterious quality, but at the same time, she can be vulnerable but fierce. She can be, in the movie, she's very like in charge, but she also comes from a world where she's had to be like a subservient like soldier. So like the ability to kind of be able to capture all of those things in a single sort of form is really difficult, and also to sort of show progression of time. You know where she began, what she went through. Things happened to her she was betrayed, I guess is a way of saying it. And then like who she is now on the other side of that it's a lot. And it all is kind of in the movie. So she had to kind of be able to capture all of that swath of sort of emotion and character and actually point of view, which is a hard thing to be. It's not just, oh, I feel this way. It's like I'm a different person here because that thing hasn't happened to me yet. That's difficult. And she, and not to mention the fact that she, like I said before, had this incredible sort of physicality that we had to really, take advantage of, and because the thing with Cora, I think, as a character, and that's the real tricky bit, is that she emotionally and in every way possible, she's also linked to her physicality. She's a warrior, so like how she fights, the way she uses her body like a weapon, those things are part of her. And so in a lot of ways, just to do the character work, you have to be able to combine the two. You have to it can't be completely cerebral, although it has to be. It has to also be physical. What does that mean to me and my body and the way I fight? And if I'm hurt, like as part of my, part of the weapons that I have missing, and how would I adjust to that? So I think that, she had the whole thing. So it was great.
Amazing. Well, thank you both of you for your amazing answers. We know that you have taken a lot of time, creativity, and effort to make this epic film. And we also want to take some time to answer some questions from the press. We told them to send some questions a few days ago, and there were so many questions that we tried to pick a few that might convey all the most interesting ones as well. So when I mention you guys, your name or your outlet, can you stand up or just wave? I'm gonna read your questions, but to let know Sophia and Zack who you are. Okay, so the first question from the press is from Christopher Bardillado from Arata. Is he here?
Christopher, no, he didn't make it.
Okay. We're gonna read his questions anyway. Okay, so his question is, what were the elements that inspired you to make this saga, and what reactions are you looking for from the audience?
I guess the elements are some of the things we talked about, whether it be these movies that sort of shaped me from the 80s, whether it be the graphic novels that I read, the sort of fantasy art from that same period that I'm really a big fan of. Boris and Prensa and the whole group. I think that, so, you know, those were the things that kind of inspired, that made me want to make this sort of visual journey. And then what I'd hope for from audiences is that they would get, you know, some of the same things. When you see a fantasy film, some of the ways that it sort of sparks your imagination, says, I wonder what's behind that corner, what's over there, like, where did they come from, like, why is that thing made of what it is? Like, all this stuff that starts, and that's beyond the story, you know, like the story, of course, I want audiences to be immersed in the sort of drama of what these characters are going through and the world they're in and all that, but it's another thing to sort of inhabit this world, and I just think that I really am excited for audiences to inhabit the world and then, you know, wanna, as the story continues, because it does, because Netflix allowed me to make 2 movies at once, so that was cool. And so you guys get to have this one, and then in April you get another one. So you get to sort of see where it goes.
And there isn't one character that's left out. Every character has like depth and a story and where they come from, and that you will get a chance to explore all of them.
That our audience can relate with each character in a different way, or more with one character than another. And so this is for Sophia. It's from Alejandra Mejia from Attitude Femme. Is Alejandra here? Okay, there's Alejandra. Hi. So I'm gonna read your question. It says, Rebel Moon makes the role of women visible, not only in history, but in the cinematographic world. What do you think is the greatest difficulty when creating leading roles designed for women?
I'm just going to say that this is my first leading role, so I have nothing to compare it to. And what an honor to do it with Zack. But I do think that I think that this movie is important because of that factor, and I think that Zack did it in such a way that it elevates women, that it empowers women, and in a way that was, I think, needed, especially in that genre, that I don't remember having seen. Or if I've seen it in just glimpses in some films, but never truly committed to the strength and the power and the capability and the mental complexity of a woman. And yeah, I'm honored with that, and I hope that it translates to many women.
That's
people
beautiful.
and men also, why not?
Of course. So this next question is for Zack from Entre Noticias CDMX. No sé si está el medio por aquí presente. Okay, buenas tardes. So Zack, the question is, what challenges did you have to confront in order to make the action shots look so epic?
Well, the truth is that, look, my process is that, so I write the script, and then when the script's done, I sit down and I start to draw the movie, and I draw, for this movie, because there's 2 together, I ended up drawing, I think I drew close to 4,000 frames, you know, so it's a lot of drawing, and it's a lot of work. But the thing that's good about it is that, you know, when I arrive on the day to film it, I've kind of done it once in the drawings. And that's kind of what I use the drawings for. I pretty much will stay to the drawings, I'd say, maybe 75%. But the drawings also help you go, like, it allows you to make other decisions, because you've made that one, you know what that one is, so that's cool. But, you know, you also on the day can be like, because I know what that is and I know it's kind of works in sequence, maybe if we did something else, or if I change it, or if I see something that's different, I can adapt a little bit to that. So I guess my answer is that the sort of process that we go through to get to make these shots, and that is to say that I've written the script, I draw the drawings, and also for this film I was the director of photography as well, so it was a second exercise of, once you've done that, I've done the drawing, now I really am tasked with the physical act of making this drawing come to life, because I have to understand where the lights are going to be, what kind of lensing is going to be, what kind of equipment is going to be carrying the camera to allow us to make the shot that I've drawn. So the responsibilities stack up, but for me, I don't mind it because it's kind of a nice through line. It takes you all the way to the end. And by the time you end up on set with the camera and everyone's looked at the drawings, everything's prepped, and everyone knows what they have to do to bring all the elements together to make the shot. It's super rewarding, and it's something in some weird way we take it. I don't want to say we take it for granted, but we've gotten to the point with the machine where I expected, or I kind of through force of will have marshaled all the elements there. So when we go to do it, it's always, and my crews and the people I work with are so amazing that there's never, I have a hard time like throwing them a curveball. Like I can't say, like, it'd be cool, wouldn't it be better if this happened? They're always very prepared. They're like, well, we thought you might say that, so we have this prepared. So it's always
They know you so well.
It's always really cool. Yeah, they know me too well.
I remember going to set and thinking, okay, well, it's true I have to do the stunts and be prepared physically, but all I have to do really is just know what I am doing and learn my lines. And I show up to set and like nervous and thinking about Zack, who's producing, directing, wrote, and doing the DOP, and thinking where he might be, you know, in all that, with all the responsibilities that he has, and coming to set and he's just trying to get a bottle, go to make it in the trash and having fun.
I was kicking.
Kicking, and he would make it most of the time. And I remember thinking, why you like? But that's because of how much he prepares and how ready he is on the day. And that is not. I look at it and it's not just normal. He doesn't just sit around and do nothing. That's long time of spending time with this story, writing it, and being really prepared and ready when it.
Yeah, if I'm not kicking a bottle or a paper cup into a garbage can, then things are really.
You should be concerned.
Things are really bad.
Something's going on.
But there are those days. But.
Okay, so next question is for Sofia. It's from Paola Ortiz from Estilo de F. It's Paola. Oh, there she is on my left. She's raising her hand.
Yay!
And she asks, Sofia, how would you like people to remember your character from Rebel Moon in 10 years?
Oh, wow. You're asking me to be a sidekick right now and read the future. Do you have a tower deck? Maybe I should look into my hand. In 10 years, you know, for me, as a person, for me, Sophia, the most, when I feel the happiest is when I'm inspired. And when I'm not inspired, I try to look for it. And it sometimes, the artists like come across that also. It happens where, I've experienced it where I find it hard to find inspiration. And I'm on a loop trying to find it, and I'm miserable, personally. And so, what I would want for people is just to have that. I hope that Cora is ultimately inspiring to people on various levels, not just for the physicality. I think that what she will inspire people to be as human being is what I would love for her to inspire people. And however it translates, it will be different for everybody. Sometimes I'm trying, as an actor, I'm like, it needs to be this way. I hope this is going to translate, but everybody's going to see the movie they're going to see because of their own life experiences and how they see life in general, and they will translate to people completely different from one to another. It's hard to generalize, but to generalize the answer is just like ultimately for her to be inspiring to men and women.
Which I think is also beautiful to portray a character and then listening to other people's opinion on your character, right? How they wrote, like they read that character to portray.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah, just as it's beautiful to hear other opinions about your performance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I think that's the incredible thing about movies. Like, you know, I make one movie, but it's for every single person. It's a different movie. You know, that's the amazing thing. You know, you talk to someone about the movie and they're like, you know, I love this part, and I'd be like, oh my God, you're right. I didn't even think of that. You know, that's really cool. I think that's really amazing. Okay,
we have another question from Becca Salas. I don't know if Becca is here. Oh, there she is, on the left as well. Okay, this one is for Zack. It says, having all the freedom to create a cinematic universe of this magnitude from scratch could be overwhelming. After all this time, what were the key concepts or ideas you adhered to here in order to keep a cohesive story for Rebel Moon? What were the key concepts or ideas you adhered to here? Yes.
Sure, and absolutely true. There were kind of through lines that we had to stay with, and I really think that basically I have this anchor. Cora is the anchor. I know her story. She's the touchstone that I used as a way to navigate the world. She's the eyes that I saw the world through, and so that was the way that I sort of could keep on task about, like, you know, because it is easy to go off on a tangent, you know, absolutely, and for me especially, because I like the world and I like exploring. So, but I think it was Cora's point of view and Cora's the prism of her that the world moved through. That was what kept me on task anyway.
All right. Next question is for Sophia. I think you already answered to this one, but this is from Efraín Camacho. Is he here? There he is. Okay. So Sophia, he's asking, what was the first Zack Snyder movie you watched, and what was your experience like?
It was Watchmen. I was in London with a friend of mine who is a big fan of Zack, and I did not know Zack work before, and I went to see, and I was just blown away. I grew up watching anime, and I know it's different, but I love this style, and I don't know why I loved anime so much when I was a kid, but I grew up watching Akira and Ghost in the Shell, Ninja Scroll, and I couldn't stop watching them, and then I never gotten into comics necessarily, but my friend is into that, and I went to see it. I was just blown away, and yeah, at the end I did not want it to be over.
Well, there's some really long versions, so you can almost feel like that.
Or you're talking about your cut.
Almost give me the feeling.
So this is a question I had before for you guys, and I wanted to ask you if there was a specific shot that you really wanted to get it the way you portrayed it, so you had to repeat it like several times until it got to what you just imagined?
So really it's like what do we have to work hardest at shot-wise maybe to get it to be the shot that's in the movie? Something like that?
Yeah, if there was a specific scene or moment that you didn't rest until it was the way that you imagined.
It's hard because it's all the shots in a way, but it is, I'm not joking. I'm just trying to think of one that was really we were having a hard time getting it, all the elements together. Well, I mean, there's a shot, it's in the trailer. It wasn't, on the day actually it worked pretty well, but getting the elements kind of all to line up worked slightly difficult. And that was a shot of Sophia on top of the pillbox, where she has the flag from the flashback from when she was in the army of the Mother World. And you see her standing there with this big banner, and it looks super heroic. It's a propaganda film, clearly. But that shot, when we did it actually, I think we only did like 3 takes, but getting it all, the pieces in the correct amount, the fans were all in the wrong spot to begin with, we had to move everything to the other side. the dead, we pulled, there was a bunch of dead guys in there and they looked weird, and so we pulled them out. You know, it's like a lot of stuff like that. Before we rolled, we kept looking at it and having to rebuild it and do it over, and so that one I can remember being a little bit problematic. It's these big sort of iconic shots, you know, that are kind of like, feel like they should be in some, you know, Russian film, you know, like that stuff is that stuff's always hard.
Are you going to release a book of all your drawings pre-film?
The drawings?
Because they're quite spectacular. He gave me all the drawings before filming, and I had them all in my trailer, and I was shocked to how much he was able to capture. Probably to him, it's like it was not exactly, but for me, it's like exactly what, I mean, there's beautiful drawings.
Maybe.
Do a book.
We were talking about, at one point we were talking about doing like I have been talking about doing like a retrospective book, like a Teshin retrospective book, because, you know, I have drawings for all the movies, like all my drawings, which aren't necessarily released, you know, they're kind of personal, and so like there's a few frames I'll show, but not all of it. But then I was like, no, maybe it's a cool thing, one day I'll make a big fat book that's just like all the crazy drawings.
You keep all of them from your previous
Yeah, I have
shows?
all of them all bound. At the end of the movie, I bind everything and I put it on my wall or on my shelf. So all the originals are all just down my bookshelf. And then there's also just like, you know, doodle books and stuff like that. You know, because sometimes when we're working early days, you know, I'm just drawing keyframes, because like a lot of the way we make the movie, the way I also make it is that I have a bunch of amazing, incredibly talented concept artists that I work with. And so I'll do some quick sketches, because I'm, you know, and they'll go and pull all these frames out, you know, or I'll say, you know, like, here's the idea, I'd love to do this. This guy, Jared Parrington, who I work really closely with, Jared's amazing, I've worked with him for years, since Man of Steel, I think maybe before. And Jared he's an incredible artist, and he's working right now trying to create this, his own animated thing, but yeah, he's just like this incredible guy. So I have him as a resource, so I'll be like, Jared, hey man, what's up? Like, I'm gonna send you over some ideas, tell me what you think. And then he'll just send me back like these crazy paintings. I'm just like, wow, okay, this is great. So it's a way to kind of like, you know, you gotta take your first steps into the world, you know? And you have these these amazing concept artists who just will do a giant painting that's just beautiful. And sometimes it doesn't even make the movie, it's just like, put on the wall and be like, that's cool. If we can make something that cool, then we're gonna be winning. So yeah, it's a way to, I think, sometimes just challenge ourselves to always remember that, you know, we want to get to a level with the art of it.
We want to see that. Yes, let's hope. Sophia, we have another question from the press, from Lucy Duran, from Mujer Ejecutiva. Is she on? Oh, right here. Okay, perfect. Well, she's asking, how was your experience working on this production, and what did you enjoy the most?
To put it simply, I did not want it to be over when we wrapped. I got used to going, and I mean, you get attached to, we had such a nice crew, and the whole cast, everybody was so lovely, and I've never been part of a production to where we wrap. Usually people go to their trailer and they go home on the last day. And this one, I think we wrapped at 10 p.m. and people were hanging out until 4 in the morning. We were in Los Angeles, we were outdoor, and nobody wanted to say bye to each other. I enjoyed that. We really had such a great sense of family, and I love all my castmates so much. They're all like individually so vibrant and special and beautiful people and great actors, and just what I enjoyed so much. I mean, I still have to pinch myself because this was so incredible. I enjoyed all of it.
It was cool. The shoot was so long, too. I mean, it was 150 something days, which is a long shoot. And you get near the end, or like just past 100 days, and you just forget, like, this is what we do every day. You don't even know there's a movie. You don't even think about the fact that it's going to be a movie. You just think, okay, this is the work. Got to do that work. Got to go to the factory and make our things. You know, you're like, oh, that's right. There'll be a movie at the end of it. That's cool. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, and actually now that you mentioned that, Sophia, about the cast, you have worked with very talented actors and actresses before, but is there like a specific dynamic that you had with this crew and cast that you would like to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, we would laugh so much. And Zack laughs a lot on stage. I mean, we are serious, and everybody cared so much about what they were defending, about their physical condition. They were dedicated and go and work out, and we were serious about that. But we would know when to relax. We would know when to make jokes. People would be very respectful of the condition of the scene. If it was like a deep or hard, difficult scene, there is focus. We're not just clowns, you know. But we would have such a great camaraderie, and this should remind me a lot of being on tour when I used to be a dancer. And dancers are very childlike, and they have fun with anything, and we're always laughing. And this was very similar. This was the next, and also it just resembled, being on tour the most.
And how did you feel the first time you watched yourself with this amazing costume?
Well, when Zack gave me a cape to wear, I remember thinking, how am I gonna make this work?
Is it heavy?
No. I was just thinking. It's like, I mean, it's empowering to wear a cape, but you have to make sure the cape doesn't wear you. You have to have the strength to wear a cape. I didn't want it to become the whole that I needed to. In a way, you have to earn that cape, I think, and to make it. Like I remember we were shooting, and it ended up in the trailer also. We were shooting just a simple thing, and again we were goofing around with the guys, and it was just a simple shot that Zack was very beautiful, and it was Pollux on, I think, on a distance. At a distance, there was Pollux, and we're coming out of the spaceship, and it was just simple, yeah. And I was like, well, his camera is here. I was like, how about? I was trying to make the cape work so that it doesn't seem like, it doesn't look like a costume. And also, why is Cora wearing a cape and a hood? And I was like, oh, it makes sense because she's the most wanted fugitive in the universe, and that's basically her hiding cloak. So it's not just for show and just for looks, it's for her to hide her holster and to hide her face, and yeah, when I first saw it, it just looked incredible.
And also the sets are mind-blowing. Zack, how did you work to make all these things become from something that you draw maybe to reality?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's some of the process that I've talked about, but I think in this case, we talked about doing possibly like a virtual production for a while, and then when we actually looked at the scale of what we were going to have to do, we were like, that's insane. And then we ended up building this village, for real. It's a very giant village, and we shot it. It was all practical, so we shot the interiors and the exteriors all there. So it was really quite nice to not have to go over to the studio and shoot the pickups. Like the longhouse was real, and Cora's Hagen's house and Dent's house and Gunner's house. We were able to just go in them and do all the scenes inside. And then they'd walk out, just film it and do all that. So it was really cool to, and then I would just design whatever lighting that we were going to use in the room would just be practically built into the set. And I was trying to be smart because I knew we'd be in a rush. So I built there's a lot of lights in the sets that aren't on that I have in case the actors end up in a different area, because they're built into the set. All they require is like us to remove a little like piece of trim or some little piece of the set to reveal the lights that's pre-built, and then it's all on board, and then I could just be like, put this one on, and then or whatever. And then in the Hagen scene, that's just fire. There's fire in there, so I was like, oh, the fire's fine. That's plenty. Let's go. But I think things like that. Also, I think. For me, as a DP, I think that I am a little bit more, I do take a fair amount of risks with the photography because it's hard to get fired, so that's the good news. And so I think that, you know, I'm able to kind of just say, no, it's fine. We don't need, the fire is plenty. We don't need to put more lights in. And, you know, but the movie I think looks pretty nice, so.
So you all, thanks all the members of the press for submitting your questions. We wanted to ask you, what do you think makes a rebel nowadays?
First, I guess a rebel, in our world, you know, a rebel is someone who just kind of looks at this sort of established system and questions it, I guess, really is what it's about. Is there another way of doing it? Is there a better way? You know, and I think that that's really what these guys want. They want to be not so much left alone as allowed to live the way that they lived, and they're not hurting anybody. So there's no reason why they can't exist. And I think that, you know, in a broader sense, what it talks about is just you know, their version of freedom, and whatever that is, they want to maintain it. And our story is pretty simple in that the bad guys want to take that away and they want to maintain it. So it's pretty easy to understand that in our movie, a rebel is just someone who's standing up for themselves and for their beliefs. You know?
All right.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, yeah, rebel is somebody who doesn't settle for less and who has a thirst and hunger for a chance, for an alternative, and fights for it.
All right. And well, thank you so much, Sophia.
Thank you
so much,
guys.
Zack. And do you have any final words for to conclude today's press? And then they're gonna take you a little bit of pictures. Can we stand up so they can take you pictures? And just some words of farewell.
No microphone. Then just a photo.
Okay, to the center, please. Sophia and Zack. Okay. Center, Sophia. Zack.
To your left, please. This side, please. Here. A smile, please. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Thank you so much, Zack and Sophia. Thank you for joining us. It was a great pleasure talking to you. Despidámonos con un gran aplauso.